Mikah Meyer.
Mikah Meyer.
Mikah Meyer.
And we'll leave you now with a special message from Mikah Meyer to all of you watching. For now, so long from Washington.
Hi, Voice of America. It's Mikah Meyer on Hurricane Ridge in Olympic National Park. 2 years ago, I stood in this exact same place and filmed the promo video for what would become my 3-year world record road trip to all 417 U.S. national parks. You've been along on this journey now with me for the past year, and we've gone to 188 sites together. I look forward to the next 2 years, to reaching 417 parks with you, and hope that you one day will have a chance to come to America and experience the majesty and splendor of these United States. My dad was always a big fan of road trips. I made it a goal to honor him. So I am currently exactly halfway through a 3-year world record road trip to all 417 National Park Service sites. So when I first started planning this trip, I too thought of the 59 big national parks, Grand Canyon, Acadia, Yellowstone. But then I learned that this national park system is way more than these capital P parks. It's everything from national seashores to national monuments to national historical sites and national battlefields. It's this entire system that's so much more than just vistas. To do that, I am living in a van, which I've named Vanny McVanface, in honor of the scorned Bodie McBoatface name that the British people voted on. Oh my God, I just bought a van! Live down by the river, a white windowless van.
I am a millennial who lives in a van. Throughout my 20s, I knew that this was a goal for when I turned 30, and so I saved. I jumped into the hashtag van life movement, and it looked super glamorous on social media, and I can tell you from 19 months of experience, that is the furthest thing from the truth. I don't buy clothes. A, I don't have the money to buy anything new, and B, I don't have space to store it.
Fortunately, there is no heat or air conditioning in the van when it's not driving. I do have some blankets to help with that. I have a fan. I've got a water jug down there which keeps 7 gallons, so I have something to drink. All my toiletries and everything you need to actually survive. Right now I'm sitting in Big Bend National Park in the United States. But just behind me is the Rio Grande River, and behind it, the country of Mexico. Here we go. I'm approaching the middle, and it's still not even up to my knees. We have successfully walked across the Rio Grande from the United States to Mexico. Up here at the top of Angel's Landing, check out the 360-degree views. My favorite part about Lake Crescent so far is just how isolated and pristinely quiet it is. There's people on flotation devices, there's kayaks, small boats, but in general it's very calm, free from a lot of commercialization many American lakes experience. I did it! Way better.
And there was a wide variety to explore.
The geology is getting particularly awesome. You can see these kind of pancake-like features in front of me. This view is pretty epic. These rock ripples were deposits of rock that were upturned and now make this curved shape that we see shooting up from the river to the sky.
Have you encountered any scary moments so far?
Yeah, I have a solar power system in my van actually that melted in Texas, and so I thought my van that I live in was going to catch on fire. That same van, I was up in Washington State and I was backing up and I came into a ditch and the van started to tip. And so I threw open the door, I pulled it down and I yelled for help, and some people helped me push the van out of the ditch, or else the van and myself would have flipped and maybe died. So it's scary at some points.
But so far you visited so many. I mean, what stands out? What is the most spectacular place you've been?
So one of my favorites I talk about a lot is Dinosaur National Monument, and that's because it's not one of the 59 national parks that most people think of. It's one of these, 417 lesser known ones, and it's so spectacular. It's got rivers and canyons and long green plateaus and rolling mountains and snow-capped mountains. It's got everything you can ask for in any National Park Service site all in one place.
So now you have about 145 national parks to go to,
yeah.
and do you have a goal as to when you want to complete seeing all these national parks?
Yeah, so I started on April 29th, 2016, which was the 11th anniversary of my father's passing. So my goal is to end exactly 3 years later on April 29th, 2019.
Wow, you have some time, but not so.
Well, our next guest is attempting a world record national parks road trip. His mission is to promote youth diversity and to honor his late father. Please welcome self-claimed adventurer Mikah Meyer.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Gosh, so you are... Tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do. I don't want to speak for you. What's the goal?
So basically, starting Friday at the Washington Monument, I'm embarking on a 1,116-day world record road trip to become the youngest person to visit all 400-plus U.S. national parks.
Wow. What made you decide to want to take this on?
Well, so when I was 19, my dad passed away from cancer, and he loved road trips. And so I inherited his car, and I took my first ever road trip, coincidentally, just days after his funeral. I'd already had it planned. Yeah. And it was such a healing experience for me that I ended up doing an annual road trip every year to honor that experience, which at age 25 turned into this 260-day, 16,400-mile, what I call my dream road trip around the U.S. And on that trip, I realized my dad was 58 when he passed away. Never got to retire. You know, we spend our whole lives working for these dreams that we think, oh, someday I'll get to do that.
Yeah.
So I made it a goal that every 5 years of my life, I'm going to take 1 year for my retirement. So that way, if I pass away at 58 as well, I will have already retired for 7 years. I won't miss out on my dreams.
What a way to think. I commend you so much for that. So you've already hit some of these areas before. Which national parks, I mean, more than 400, which ones are you really looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, well, people always ask me for my favorite, and I say that's kind of like asking who your favorite child is.
Yeah, yeah.
But the cool thing about the national parks, the National Park Service and National Park Foundation right now have this movement called Find Your Park. And there are such a diverse amount of parks, everything from the Grand Canyon to the Washington Monument. Yeah. You know, President Obama in his inauguration speech talked about Seneca, Selma, and Stonewall. Stonewall is actually one that might be a future national park. Yeah. So it's everything from diversity of culture to nature to the labor movement to architecture. It encompasses so many things beyond just the Grand Canyon. Yeah. So I'm excited to experience the diversity and depth of our national park system.
Yeah, so to take on this task, what will you be riding in? What's your plan of action? Are you going to start from Maryland and go south or go north?
Yeah, so the basic plan is to spend the summers up north and the winters down south to follow the good weather. I'm living in a van, a cargo van, which I found, I've never had God work so fast in my life. I found this van from a company in Maryland called Unwind Candles.
There it is right there.
There it is, yeah.
Awesome.
And they, I found a super sketchy Craigslist ad. I answered it, and it turns out the owner lost his wife to cancer in 2013, took a 15,000-mile road trip, eerily similar to my former one, to get over his wife's death, and he connected with my story, and so I'm selling candles for them. 40% of every candle sold using my TBC Mikah discount code will go towards paying off the van, because I didn't have the money to buy it. Yeah. So they said, pay us what you can, and we'll take the rest off as you drive.
Yeah, so you're going to be using some crowdfunding as well for this.
Basically, yeah. So I've been saving up for 4 years. I work right now at the Washington National Cathedral and Georgetown Prep High School. I've been saving up for 4 years with this goal in mind, saved up enough to start this trip, and my hope is that over the course of 3 years, people will donate through crowdfunding on my website, tbcmikah.com, and that'll be able to sustain me so I can keep doing this and promoting youth and diversity for the followers.
That is so awesome. And for anybody out there who wants to find their park, find yourpark.com or encuentrasuparque.com for all of our Spanish speakers as well. Larry, back over to you.
Bilingual.